good thing. So let's go now down to the belly of the beast with Josh Rivera. As soon as we get the recording up, we'll play a little music, and we'll be up and running. All right, let me just shut a few things off here. Get this off. Start this. Okay, hold on, folks. Okay, here we go. Josh's program coming up next.
Hey, Rick.
Ah.
Since we're a little bit pressed for time, we're starting a little late. You don't have to play the whole song if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, we'll play a portion of it, Josh. Yeah, we're running a little late here. We'll play a portion of it and let it go with that. So here we go. We're going down to your program, Josh. Stay with us.
All righty.
All right, hold on.
The Six Screens Telenetwork expands your knowledge of what the Watchtower organization is actually hiding behind.
All right. Well, we're just going to disconnect there, Josh. I'm going to see if we can't get your program up here. I'm not sure what's going on. But why don't we go right down right now? We're going to go down to the belly of the beast. We're going to be talking to Josh Rivera. Josh, are you with us? Real truth, real healing. Hello, Josh.
Yes, I'm down here in the belly of the beast in apostate land in Brooklyn, better known as Crooklyn.
Well, I'm with you. I'm with you with that. Well, we got a lot of things going on here tonight. We've got what we have to do is I gotta really make it known to people. If you're not talking, and if you have your phone, keep something over the phone so it can keep the background noise down, folks. Really, it really help a lot. Okay, so Josh, what's up on the slate today?
Well, I have a very, very nice, interesting lady. Her name is Jane. She's coming to us from Florida. Okay, she says she's waited 10 years to be able to tell her story. She was in the organization a good portion of her whole life. She raised 2 kids in the organization. And she's been through quite a bit. And she's ready for the first time to tell her story and expose the Watchtower. And so she's never been on the 6 screens. This is her first time on the 6 screens. So we want to give her a great welcome.
Very good. Thank you, Josh. Well, looking forward to it.
All right. So are we just going to go right into it?
Yes, go ahead right into it. Yep.
Okay. So, Jane, are you with us down there in Florida? Jane? Jane, if you're with us, press star 1, Jane.
I thought I already was unmuted.
Oh, okay. All right. Glad you're with us. So I'm glad you were able to stay with us. What's happening is there's so many people starting to know about this program and starting to call in. So it's getting to the point where it's kind of hard to keep the time within the allotted time because there's a lot of people. So that's a good thing. And you're our newest addition to the 6 Screens family. So we're really glad to have you here with us today, Jane.
Well, thank you.
So,
Can you hear
Jane,
me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Good.
So we'll go ahead and get started. What I usually do is kind of ask the guests when they come in to just kind of introduce themselves and tell us, a little bit of your background. How long were you a witness? How did you come across in contact with the witness? Things like that. So why don't you just go ahead and just tell us where you're from, even though I kind of mentioned it, and what your background is with this so-called truth.
Yeah. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. I was born into it, and I stayed in it for 50 years, and now I'm in Florida. I mean, that part of that 50 years I was in Florida anyway. But right around there, because my first birthday I celebrated was 50, so it was right before that. And what did you want me to say?
Oh wow! So you didn't celebrate your birthday until you were 50, huh?
Correct.
So that's usually a milestone in your life, once you're 50 years old. So
yeah.
That was very appropriate. How was that? How was that whole experience?
That was awesome because I never celebrated it before, and my daughter just so happened to come down because now I'm allowed to talk to him, because she was disfellowshipped. Anyway, she had a little party for me that I wasn't expecting. And then she says, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, I want to come and see my kids. So that's what my gift was.
Wow. And so being that your daughter was disfellowshipped, so I'm imagining that you went a time where you didn't have any communication with your daughter, right?
Well, how they have these extra rules that say you can care about your kids. So I call them about once a month. So I didn't totally leave them out, and I talked about whatever I ever felt like talking about. So I guess I broke rules.
Yeah, so even during that whole time, there was a little bit of a cognitive dissonance going on in there where you just, what was the natural affection that they say that we're supposed to have and not lose, you never really totally lost that.
I couldn't do it. So, you there? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hold on, sister, from Florida. Josh kind of disappeared on us, but boy, I see you from Florida. Do you mind telling me what part?
Hello?
I'm sorry, I had to call back in. I got disconnected by mistake.
Oh, I had to do *1 about 3 times.
Okay, yeah, so I'm back. Okay, we're all back.
Okay.
Yeah, so you didn't quite conform to the whole shunning policy the way they say we should shun. Still,
I had another daughter that, by the way, I have 3 kids, not 2. I had another daughter that came home after leaving home. She came home pregnant, and I just let her move home. And I guess that was a big no-no, but I did it anyway. Because what did that baby do?
Yeah, exactly.
And I couldn't see, and I'm not going to shove my daughter down out the door with nowhere to go.
Right. So how did you come across to the witnesses? You said you were born and raised in it, right?
My dad was the congregation overseer when I was, born. And so we were, always on display everywhere we went and plus we had 9 kids. And you got picked on from within and then from without because you are the elder kids.
So you had to have that pressure of being the elder of the congregation's kid. This is back when you had the congregation elders, so this is before the elder arrangement as we see it now. So I would imagine, am I correct?
He was called the congregation overseer or congregation servant or something like that. I have a picture of us all on the stage, and the title was something about integrity, walking in integrity. And I was like 3 or 4 years old.
So
anyway, we're all there.
So at what age were you baptized? Were you baptized really young, or?
Well, I was baptized at like 15, and I guess I was kind of a rebel anyway, because the same day, right after I got baptized, I walked down to the gas station and had a cigarette.
Oh, wow.
So I was a kind of a brat or whatever. But then I got serious about it about 17. And they stopped doing everything that I was doing, what I thought I was doing wrong, and tried to be a good little Jehovah's Witness.
So here we are, fast forward to 17 years old. You went through the whole make the truth your own stage, I would imagine, correct?
Yeah.
And so what kind of activities were you involved in at that time?
Well, it was about then, not long after that, but I got married to the first boy that paid any attention to me when I was 18, and we got married within 6 months. And,
wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, well, he ends up being a beataholic, So it wasn't very fun.
Now, was he an elder as well? Did he become an elder?
We were only 18, so no, not yet. I mean, he didn't become anything because he was such an asshole.
Okay, so there's plenty of that going on in the truth, in the so-called truth of the lie, I should say.
Yeah.
So when did everything kind of change for you? Like, did you see any red flags? Was there anything in particular that made you, stop and think like, maybe this is not?
Oh yeah.
What it...
Actually, it was all along because when I was 7 years old, I had two brothers that molested me for the next 5 years.
Wow.
Then I got married, and he tied me up and raped me. And for some reason, I didn't think that was good. And when you tell, they say, well, what did you do to make him mad instead of addressing what he did? And I'm like, something's wrong here. And then I just so happened to have gotten something happened to me out in the so-called world by a guy. He touched me when I pretended he was a cop. And he got caught in 3 days, and he went to jail. And he said I did it, But like in my head, I'm going, my brothers did way more than that. Came all over me and everything else. And that guy went to jail for touching me. So it was like, this happens if you're witness, this happens if you're there, if you're worldly. And, well, do you want me to go to the end point where I finally left, or?
Well, no, just express yourself. We got a full hour or more or so here, so it's very interesting what's happening. So you're saying you went through all this abuse, within your family, within your immediate family, your brothers now. Did you ever bring this to attention to your parents, to the elders? How did that work out?
Well, it went to the elders, which weren't called elders then, but then the punishment for them was they weren't allowed to answer for however long it was. Well, big deal. That's like not going to school and not having to do your homework. So big, fat punishment,
And this was back in the day when it was still just the congregation overseer. This is before the elder arrangement?
Yeah, where they each had, one had the literature, one had the school, and one had the this. And, there was 6 or 7 positions. And, well, anyway, I get married, have the kids. My husband's abusive. I was in and out of the mental hospital from trying to kill myself about lots of times because I couldn't stand it. I said, if this is love and this is my life, it isn't worth living. So I don't know what kept me alive, but I'm still here.
Wow. So you said you had to go to mental hospitals and stuff like that. Around when was this? This is before or after you got married?
No, it was after, and it was as a result of getting, being abused the whole time I was married. And I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. And so I took pills and knives and whatever. I just didn't want to be here.
Wow.
And when I finally left him, I left him right from a mental hospital.
Oh, and so once you got out of the hospital, you just got out of the marriage.
Yeah, and I was disfellowship too because I was smoking. But he was doing what he did, nothing happened, and I smoked, and that was another thing. Let's see, smoking, rape. Let's see, which is worse? I'm like, it was just like, is this real or what? This guy beats me up, rapes me. It's, smoking and that is like night and day to me, Anyway,
yeah,
I ended up divorcing him. And then I was alone and I stayed out in the world for a while and did wherever I felt like it. And then I came back because I missed my family. And then I went through another 30-some years of shit. I met after my first husband. Oh, by the way, in between there, I forgot to tell you this part. The girl he married was, they got married and had a baby 8 months later. And I heard it through the grapevine, through elders, you know how they're not supposed to talk, that
right.
the guy that married them, you know, the guy that performed the ceremony, slept with her. So when he found out she's pregnant, he wanted them to hurry up and get married. So it's like...
Well, let me get this right. You have your ex-husband remarries, but the person that he marries is having an affair with the brother that's performing the ceremony?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
And they had a baby 8 months later, so like either he got her pregnant or he got her pregnant before they were married. And they got engaged the day we were divorced. It's like, is this real?
Oh, to throw salt on the wound, huh? But I'm sure by then you were glad you were out of that situation.
Well, hell yeah. When he told me who it was, I rolled on the floor laughing while I was in the restaurant. She was obviously gay. After he died, then she became gay. He got killed.
He got killed?
In a motorcycle accident.
Oh, okay.
He was 29. And he got killed.
So you were out for quite a while before you came back in, right? You said, like...
No, it was about 2 years I was out,
okay.
and I didn't know what to do. I had a brother that was out, but he was, and this is information for those that want to help someone else. He was so angry that all he did was vent and scream and yell and all this other stuff about what Jehovah's Witnesses did to him. And it just turned me off. And it pushed me back into the organization.
Really? So that's interesting. So a person that's just so consumed with the resentment and the hate and expressing that actually had the opposite effect. It made you... Okay.
It made me run back in. I said, well, what do you have to offer me in replace of it? And he just was so angry, and he never lost that. And I decided, okay, that's Bob. You know, like I decided that I still love him or whatever, but if it gets on that subject, he just like psycho. You know, and I didn't want to be there. I mean, I was mad too. We all are, you know. But like, to stay in that state is of no benefit to anybody. It's not affecting them at all. And it's only doing damage to yourself. So, and if you talk about it with anyone else, you push them away.
Right. Yeah, that's something that I have to keep in mind. That's good advice even for me because I have a lot of venom and a lot of anger, and I talk about it. And on the show, I like to vent, but I know I need to have a balance because I notice when I'm calm and when I'm happier and I try to focus on the positive, my wife will listen to me more. But when I start, talking about, well, the watchtower is involved in this and the watchtower is involved in that and this and this and that, it just makes her very defensive. It makes her very defensive and it makes her feel like, oh, I'm being persecuted. And, it's, whatever progress I may have made of helping open her eyes, it goes right back in. Because then they feel like, well, what do you have to offer us, So I definitely relate to what you're saying.
Well, years went by, I married someone else, and I am actually currently still with him, but we're separated in the same house. But I told him, I said, what kept us married was Jehovah's Witnesses don't allow you to be not married. Either you stay with them and work it out, or you separate and you can't ever get married again. And so I kept making up with him. And I really did love him, still do, but I can't stand him. Well,
so you love him, but you don't like him.
Correct. He was similar to number one, except not as violent. He does it with his mouth, which is worse, actually.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Well, because you can't stop thinking about it. Wounds heal, but cuts to your heart do not. Well, not as quickly, anyway.
So you come back in after 2 years, you get remarried. When was it that you finally said, that's it, no more, goodbye Watchtower, I'm not going to deal with this anymore?
Okay, I years went by and I was taking care of my parents, because they were in their 70s and 80s, and they had an operation every 6 months, one of them or the other, and I would go up and help them out, and they lived next door to my brother, and his kids were getting into their teen years, and so he needed to spend more time with them. And so he said to us, which I have 2 other sisters here, that maybe you guys could help out and, take care of them for the rest of the time they're alive, which, anyway, they ended up moving to Florida. They lived with my one sister till we got a house, and we sold a house that was my dream house to accommodate them, and then our payment went from what it was to double that, and we couldn't afford it. So my parents gave me $10,000, and then I found some guy that was going to build us a house, and then he oopsishly ran off with the money.
Oh, wow.
And so there we were back at square one, and we lived in a campground in what do you call them, trailers or pole? Not a camp. Yeah, I guess it is a camper. We lived in there for like 6 months, and I saved half of what my parents had given me. So we had to use all of it to get in this house. Well, anyway, the whole family decided that me and my husband were swindling my parents, when in actuality, it was everything we owned and more. And we were using credit to live on, and I had to, address to my dad, we can't afford to feed, clothe you, and everything else. We said you could live here, and you agreed ahead of time to pay the insurance and taxes on the house, which didn't happen, and they weren't paying for food or nothing else either. And so we sat down at the table and had a prayer, and then we came to this agreement that they were going to pay half of the bills. From that point on, well, then we could at least breathe, But anyway, meanwhile, the whole family decided I was swindling my parents. And somehow it got back to me, and it crushed me. And so I addressed each one of them. I said, did you say that? And they said yes or no. Well, there was only 2 that said, no, we didn't agree with it. And then
these are all witness family?
They all witnesses. And then
now, were they doing anything to provide for their parents? Were they helping out in any way or contributing or following the scripture that says honor your parents and all that kind of stuff?
Well, once we took it on, they didn't help at all. They decided we can take on the whole thing. Because prior to that, we were sending my mom and dad, because you know how the society tells you not to provide for your future, so they didn't. So we all had to do it for them. And
right, because the end was coming. They were part of that generation that millions now live and shall never die. So your parents really believe that?
Of course. We did too. We all did. Well, anyway, then they move in with us, and everybody stops paying anything. And we're sinking and sinking and sinking, and I went into this most severe depression because I just couldn't do it. I was being the nursemaid. I was being and mind you, I was on about 5 different medicines for chronic depression from, at the time I didn't realize what, but where I was bedridden pretty much. And so then I'm taking care of 2 people that, anyway.
Were you getting any, was there any other concern for, like, were they still, actively going to the meetings, your parents? Did the elders show any concern for them to make sure they were okay? Anything like that?
They just assumed that I could handle it or whatever. But they should have known better, because I would come to the meeting after meeting after meeting and cry through the whole thing, and I don't know what the hell I was crying about, but I was. And, well, anyway, they stopped over once in a while. And really who needed to be concerned about was me, but no one did. Anyway, then I ended up, my mom and me and my sister went to, like, Burger King and went and got a coffee. They had come down to visit. And my sister was going to leave and go back where she lives. And she looks at my mom and says, "You look really stressed out." So later on that day, she left for home, and my mom had a heart attack. So she went around again, around the whole family, and told her we caused her heart attack. And that was it. That wasn't the final straw, but really it was, because when she did that, I was so crushed that I took a whole bottle of chlorazepate, and I don't know if you know what that is. It's like
Yep, I heard of that. Yeah, I heard of that.
And I took it with whiskey
That's
or
some strong stuff. That's some strong stuff.
Yeah, the whole bottle was 100 pills.
Wow.
And I should have died, but I didn't. Anyway, I woke up in the hospital. They pumped my stomach, and I ended up in the psycho ward again. So
your whole experience being in this religion hasn't been one of building or encouragement or spirituality, I would say.
Oh, and by the way, I was a regular pioneer in there, too.
So you were regular pioneering through all this?
Not when I got my parents. Up until I got my parents, I had been a regular pioneer. I went through pioneer school and all that jazz.
So you were really devout, like you really believed that through all your tribulations and everything, this was still the truth and this is what we needed to do?
I did. Up until my sister, I just feel like she couldn't have hurt me any worse if she just struck me dead. But it hurt worse than being just struck dead, because I did everything in my power to help my parents. I really believed that we should honor them, and I did. So anyway.
And you have other siblings. Besides, you had your sister. Who else did you have?
I have 9. At the time, I had 8 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
So, let's see. Jane can handle it all. Well, anyway, then after I left the hospital, my parents moved out and moved into an apartment about 10 doors down from where we live now. And, things sort of normaled out, I got back. I couldn't remember about 2 months of my life because I don't know what happened to them 2 months, but they're gone. I can't remember it. And then,
did you get any shepherding from the elders after you tried to take your life again? Did you get any concern from them?
Once. They came over and they agreed that what my sister did was horrible and all that, you know. And he said if anybody was going to kill your mom, it would have been your dad because he was not a real good husband. So he put her down and all kinds of, just constantly. So she, you know how that bent over look when somebody is continually crushed in spirit look?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
That was my mom.
Wow.
And yet through all of that, she remained kind and faithful and all that shit. And I loved her for that. But I wanted so much for her to not be with him. I loved my father anyway. He was who he was, but he was my dad. But the very, very, very last straw was I got sick. My ankle swelled up as tight, about as big as your thigh. And I was in so much pain that I couldn't walk. I had to crawl everywhere, and I was crying through the whole, like for about a month, maybe 6 weeks. And instead of pretending that there could possibly be something wrong with me, they thought I was spiritually sick. And so
never mind the swollen ankle, you were spiritually sick.
They didn't know about the ankle because they didn't ask. They just let me whatever on my own. Because now they had to help out with Mom and Daddy because they weren't in my house. And so I actually got the help that I begged and begged for. And, prior to them coming here, everyone said they'd help. Well, when it happened, that didn't happen. And if it did, I got screamed at.
So they didn't match the whole scripture that says that they are hiding place for the wind. That they will pour the anointing oil and console the depressed ones. None of that.
Oh, yeah. Now, as far as my family goes, every one of them, my sisters, were all married to elders. All my brothers, the two that molested me were both elders, too.
Okay, so they molested you. It wasn't a secret that they did. They got so-called, quote-unquote, disciplined by not being able to answer. But knowing their history, they were still allowed to be elders.
Yeah, and I addressed that. I'm like, how, about a year ago. In fact, I have it recorded. I kept a letter. The letter I sent, and I kept the letter that they sent me back, which was just a bunch of scriptures. And
so when you say letter, you're saying you wrote the society about this.
Yeah, but I also taped this letter to the Kingdom Hall door and 3 elders' doors that said about my brother molested me, and I know you're not going to believe me because I'm not in. Somebody else is in.
I'm sorry, that's just background noise. Go ahead.
Oh, I lost my thought.
No, you were talking about the letter that you sent to the society, and you pasted a copy at the Kingdom Hall door.
Okay, and I wrote on the outside of the envelope, please help. And so inside of the letter, and 3 elders' doors, and it said, my brother, blank, blank, his name, his congregation, and then I said, I know you won't believe me, but you will believe Laura, Diane, and Sue, and I gave their last name and congregations and everything. They're all married to elders. So he did it to all of us. I was one of them. But I'm the only one that's going to say something. And I said, if I don't hear from you by the end of this day, or not by the end of the day, just if I don't hear from you, I'm going to post this with name, addresses, and everything to the local news where he lives. And before the end of the day, they came over. And he said, I was in the contact with the society, and they told me to come over, and blah, blah, blah. And basically, in the whole final analysis, basically, forgive and forget. It's been a long time ago. And I'm like, guess what? The effects aren't a long time ago. The effects have been ever since. You know, I was in and out of the hospital. I can't even count the number of times. And we weren't allowed to say what was wrong. You're in the hospital, and they want to know you to talk, right? We can't talk because we're in a dirty Jehovah's name. So you're mentally depressed, and you can't talk about why you're depressed. Well, that's another whole dilemma there. So one day I just blurted it all out, and then I got some help. And
when you say you got help, what kind of help did you get?
I got help for being raped and molested.
Was this through the Watchtower, or you just went regular therapy?
I went on my own. I didn't bother telling them. I was good at that. I didn't ask permission for everything. I just did it. You know. But anyway, they gave me this book called The Courage to Heal. And there was a workbook with it. So I filled all the answers in, and I'd go into another severe depression because I had to rethink the whole thing out. And I wrote it all down, and then I'd leave it alone for a month or two, and then do it again, go through another depression, do it again, endless like that. But anyway, someone needed to borrow the book, and I forgot when I had all the stuff in there. So anybody that saw that book knew who they were. That was a complete accident, but probably a good thing. Are you there?
Yeah, so did your brothers ever finally get exposed for everything at all? Was any action ever taken? Were they ever removed from was the police ever involved at all in any of this?
No, because you're not allowed to tell the police, right?
Well, according to them, there's no law against that, but you see that there's a lot of repercussions for people that do report to the police.
Well, I did report it to the police when my husband molested my two girls. I went right to the police.
Oh my goodness! So now your daughters had experienced the same thing.
Yes, and
wow.
That when the shit hit the fan. That's when I was at my brother's house, and because I had nowhere to go, and I had my kids overnight. The day before my daughter turned 4, that's when I found out. And the other one was 5. We had to go to the judicial committee because I wrote to the society and I said, I know you won't believe me because I'm just fellowshipped. And well, anyway, they called a meeting together. Had my 4-year and 5-year-old go in alone with the 3 elders, probably looking like gorillas to them, and had to say their story. And I thought, well, good, at least something's going to be done. Well, the guy came out, and he said, we're going to say a closing prayer. And he said, please forgive these liars.
What?
Yeah.
So they had a prayer.
I don't know why I kept going.
And the 2 perpetrators are there with your daughters, and they prayed and said your daughters were the liars?
No. There were 3 elders, committee. Mm-hmm. My 2 daughters went in. They did not face, it was their father.
Okay.
But they told them their story, and the result was, please forgive these liars in a prayer. When I went to the authorities, they said, keep them away from him. They removed them from his home. which tells you who believed them. And then a couple years went by, and one of the elders that was in that committee was sitting behind me in an assembly, and he had gotten disfellowship because he screwed someone else's wife, and then they ended up getting married. But anyway, point being, he was on the committee, that committee, and he says, I'm going to tell you something that you probably won't hear from anyone else. He goes, you had 2 witnesses. Both of those girls said exactly what happened, and there were 2 of them, and they saw each other being molested. And that was the result. I wouldn't be surprised if that elder is no longer a witness, because he was in on that kind of stuff, and that kind of messes with your head. We're just supposed to let this guy go. Yeah.
So at this point, you just said the heck with the Watchtower. I'm done. That's when you finally just decided to leave. Did you get this fellowship ever after that, or you just stopped going and just?
Like I said, I'm going back and forth in time. My girls were little. Now she's 40.
Oh, okay. And how are they doing with all this? How have they been able to function? I mean, how have they been?
Well, they got to around 16, 17, and they thought it was bullshit. And they didn't want anything to do with it. They moved out at the encouragement of the elders because me and my husband were having problems, and he wasn't like a grandfather or anything. But they left home early, and they went and lived with a sister in another congregation that just got married. And oh, geez, my life's a freaking mess. But anyway, they left home, and they never came back except for a brief period when my daughter had her baby, and the other one had some financial difficulty for a couple of months. So she came home, and I said, just save all your money, and when she got enough money, she moved back out. And
you said they had quite a reaction when they found out that you were totally done, right? You had talked to me about this offline.
Oh, well, when I called them up and told them I quit Jehovah's Witnesses, they, screamed with delight.
Oh, wow.
They were so happy that they have a mom again. Well, I'm not saying everything was grand, but it was 1,000,000% better than it was. We had some issues because I had married another Jehovah's Witness that was he wasn't doing what he was supposed to either. But then again, he was coming from an alcoholic family that his dad was disfellowshipped 5 times. He was abusive, and he had a brother that molested all of them. So,
wow. So it's a vicious cycle. There's just so much of this that goes on. We can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's like so much dysfunction. It's amazing. You think you've heard it all, and it's like, the Australian Royal Commission, when they had that whole thing about the child abuse, there was 1,004 something, over 1,000 cases that were never reported to the police. Mm-hmm. You're going back some 50 years or so plus, and it's like all you know and all you've seen in this religion is a cycle of sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and physical abuse, so much that it permeated even to your daughters. So, that's just one story. I wish there was a way that we could actually know how much, how many of these,
Well, I had some friends that were in the congregation that I was in, and the one girl, she was in love with the first guy I married. Anyway, her mother was a Jehovah's Witness and a Satan worshiper at the same time.
Wow.
And
we've heard stories like that here on the Six Greens too, believe it or not.
Well, this girl's mother had a it was a goat or a dog have sexual relations with her when she was 5. That was her sacrifice to Satan.
Oh, my goodness.
And then that girl was to change her younger brother's diapers. And if she didn't change the diapers before too long, her mother made her eat the shit on his diapers.
Oh, my goodness.
And then if she puked, she had to eat the puke, too.
Okay. So this is going on within Jehovah's organization.
Yeah, and then it was another girl that her stepfather raped her from the time she was 4 all the way till she was 12 and had a kid. And I only found that out by accident while I was in service. And she's the grandmother. She was the grandmother, actually. And I said, she called him her son. And I said, wow, I never heard, because she was like almost 80. And I said, I never heard of anybody having a child at that age. Because I thought, if it wasn't her daughter's, well, somehow I worded it, and that she ended up telling me the whole story. That her daughter was raped by her stepfather, and she had a baby, and her mother adopted her.
So all this was going on before any of this is like from years and years and years ago, when none of this, Watchtower was under a lot of the radar, so you could only imagine. Well, I'll tell you what, Jane, this is around the time of the show where we kind of just open the lines up to see if anybody's listening, to just show you some support, some encouragement. And as they call you, maybe you could also just kind of add in like where, how you've been doing now and what have you been doing now to get on with your life and actually start living free from the Watchtower. Mm-hmm. But before you do that, if there's anybody listening that just wants to say hi to Jane and just show us some love and some real encouragement, please say hi now. Press *1.
Hey, Jane.
Yeah?
This is Jacqueline. Jane, I want to say you have such courage. Jane, I don't think I could have got on and told my story like that. You have gone through a lot. There are some of us that you put to shame. You're still standing. I mean, I just can't comprehend. But everything you say is typical. The husbands that are available and that they make you marry so quickly, the having sex with one person and end up marrying another one because you're pregnant and that person is an elder. We had a case here in Gary, Indiana, where a sister was disfellowship, and the actual elder doing the disfellowship was the father of the baby. They continued their relationship, had another baby, and it never came out until 21 years later when this prominent elder was on TV talking about the Kingdom Hall, and his sons just went ballistic, and they were 21. They knew this as their dad. So those things are typical. Everything you say is typical, but to have one person experience them all is, hey, I just want hats off to you. I was not a good little Jehovah's Witness, I find. Every time I hear someone's experience, I was not a good Jehovah's Witness because I got some fire in me. I would have kicked butts at 12. Nobody would have raped me because I would have been willing to do some time, even at 10, 8, and 12. That's just the type of spirit that I have. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that.
Well, you're brave. I wish I had been more like that, but I wasn't.
And that's the thing, when you're in a cult, and when your father's the congregation servant, and you have, you're powerless, or you feel powerless, and you have your brothers molesting you, and your father abusing you, and it's just this vicious cycle. It's amazing, just the fact that you're still living, and it's not like you didn't have some close calls. I mean, the attempted suicides is just amazing.
Yeah.
But we're glad.
Hello, this is Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello,
Go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to say, Jane, you've been through a lot. the watchtower, the tentacles of the watchtower, the damage that it's done. I hope that next week you can stop by my show is at 4:30. In that particular show, just to share a tiny tidbit, it talks about religious trauma syndrome, and it's the effect of what religion has done, and in some cases, it has led to mental illness or whatever. In some cases, it's the cause of it. So all I can think about is where would we be if we had not been. You know, it's bad enough what was done to you outside of the religion, but just try your best to be there next Saturday, and I'll share some more of that, because when I came across this article, it was like my name was written on it, and I'm just amazed at the experiences that so many of us have had. It's like the Watchtower not just only causes it, but condones it too, and doesn't do anything to help us. You know, they say we're not spiritual enough, where we are, or you mentioned you were a regular pioneer. We must be doing something wrong, or we don't love Jehovah.
Yeah,
Let's get back to. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I went to doors because this one girl said maybe you need to go out to service more, so I did, and I was crying and crying. I couldn't stop crying, and I didn't know why I was crying. I wasn't connected to my feeling.
Because they make us feel that whatever it is, it's our fault. They won't take responsibility that they set us up for all of this stuff. They set us up to fail. That's what a cult does. And then you got to pick up the pieces of your life and say, okay, you finally got to the point you said enough already. I can't compete with you crazy loons, so I'm not going to try anymore. That's what happens. But we still have to learn to live without it, because that crutch is gone, because that's what they also become. The very thing that can give us solace is causing us our...
Hello?
Yeah, I think we lost her temporarily, but Deborah, if you can call back in.
To give them some feedback on what she just said, I threw all my pills out, and I started sleeping at night, and I stopped having the anxiety attacks, and I stopped all the suicidal tendencies.
Yes.
And then I started working. I do hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I still have energy. Wow. And geez, we
right.
have time. What are we going to do with ourselves? So we went to karaoke because I like to sing.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing that, and I joined like the Moose Club, and I joined the Red Hatters, and it's just a bunch of things to meet people. And then I began working more full time, and then I ended up buying a shop, and I've been the owner of the shop for 6 years.
Okay.
Oh, that's amazing.
I have a question for you, Jane. When you were talking about your daughter that ended up pregnant.
Hey, excuse me, Deborah, I don't mean to cut you. I want to know if you could do me a favor, because I'm out and about. I have to get off the call. Can you kind of just take over for me and just take more questions and continue?
Sure.
I don't want to just jump off. So
Okay, that's fine.
I know I leave Jane in good hands. So, Jane, thank you for all you share. I have to jump off all the call, but I know there's still people that want to talk and meet you, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right, Jane, I won't talk your head off, Jane, but you were talking about your daughter that you ended up come back home to live with you when she ended up pregnant because no one else would let her in. Was it just you in the house and your daughter? Were you type of were you in the house? Was your husband a witness at the time?
Yeah.
Because when you let someone in that's disfellowship, what they do is any privileges you have, as you know, those are removed from you. Like my brother-in-law could say what?
He didn't have
any. Okay. I wanted to get some clarification on that part. But you've been through quite a bit, and now, how long has it been since you've been away from the Kingdom Hall, the Watchtower?
10 years.
10 years, and this is the first time you've shared your experience.
Well, I tried. I went on Barbara Anderson's thing, and I posted what happened, and I didn't get any response. So, except from one of the girls that frequents her site, she saw my story and and she responded.
Let me explain about the Facebook thing, if that's where you went. We don't always get everybody's news feeds, which is why some of the ladies missed my reminder about today's show. Facebook just only allows a certain amount of people to see what you post. So don't take it personal if no one got back to you. With today being the first time you shared your story, there'll be other opportunities that will come. If you want to share a little bit this coming Saturday, can I commit you to about 15, 20 minutes to share a little bit of what you shared with us today? Okay. Now, my show starts at 4:30 or a little after. Rick will allow us to continue to talk however long. It's not like we're set in stone. So if you'll meet me in the group at 4:30, same phone number, same pin, because I would like to hear some more, or just share a little bit of what I've been finding that's, from a unsurprising source that was just, goodness gracious, this has our name written all over it. And what I'm finding is that we all come from different lifestyles or cities, but our walk. Hello?
Well, Deborah, I just got cut off. This is Rick here at the control panel. We got Jane on with us from Florida, and boy, we have got people on the edge of their seat. Yes, indeed. Her story is just so really extreme when it comes to abuse in the Watchtower. She has really been hurt by this organization, so we're glad to have her on Josh's program tonight, Real Truth, Real Healing. The voice you're hearing is from Deborah. Deborah's been filling in for Josh. Josh had to leave. That's the interview with Deborah along. Deborah, you back with us?
Yeah, I don't know why I keep getting cut off. but Jane, if I could have you back next week, please. 4:30 next Saturday.
Saturday.
Yes. Next Saturday at 4:30.
I'm pretty sure I can do that.
All right.
Right at Saturday?
Yeah, my show is going to be on Saturdays. So if you can. It's the name of the show is.
Do you want me at 4:30 to call?
Well, to get an idea, to lay the groundwork of what I'm finding can be, what I would say, the foundation of what happened to us and even why. So if you can, if not, I'll if you can't be there at 4:30. Whenever you do get on, let me know you're there, and I'll just brush you up on what we've been talking, what we had already started talking. But what I would like for you to do is share at least 15, 20 minutes of your experience with us and the ladies next Saturday.
Okay. What is your name again?
My name is Lady Lynch. Are you on the 6 screens of the Watchtower?
Right now?
Page? No. Are you a member there? Are you on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook.
Okay. I can give you my name and you can send me a friend's request. I don't know if we have mutual friends or not, and I can send you a reminder of the show next week.
Well, Rick is the guy that was just on. Josh.
Yeah, he knows your name. He knows how I can get in touch with you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to say my last name just in case.
Oh no. 'Cause I understand. You don't need to explain. So I'll get in touch with him and have him pass on your information, and I'll send you a message and a Facebook friends request. My friends list is locked, only friends of friends can send me a request, but I've got a lot of mutual friends, so you might already be in there. But anyway, just look for in the next few days. Just look for a message from me about next week's show. Okay. All right. So is there anyone else that would like to comment on Miss Jane's experience in the Watchtower? Is there anybody else there? Hit *1 to unmute yourself if you want to join the conversation and ask Jane any questions.
Well, I see we got a lot on the video suite, and boy, Jane was brave to come on, Deborah, and we want to thank Jane. And we want to thank you, Deborah, for coming in, filling in for Josh. Jane, thank you. Thank you for coming on the program tonight. You're going to help a lot of people so they can get a real good look at what goes on behind the curtains of the Watchtower, Jane.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, in fact...
I have wanted to say this stuff. I want to expose them for what they are. You know, somehow the victim always pays, and they're already crushed, you know. Anybody there?
Oh, yeah.
I'm here. I'm here too, Jane.
Well, they blame the victims, and
yes.
Every time I see someone win, I am so happy, but I wish it was me, you know. You know, but it's a victory, you know.
Well, we're glad that you're able to move on in life, Jane. We're glad that you can come on and tell us these things.
I think it makes me stronger to let somebody know this happened to me, and I'm not staying where they put me.
That's right. They want us to stay silent. The title of my song is Be Brave. Speak what you want to speak. Speak honestly now. They used to tell us to be quiet, and not, because if we did, we would be disfellowshipped. So we're learning now to speak up. There's safety in numbers, and that's what I'm finding with my experience through the groups that I'm with former witnesses. But Jane, all of us are saying the same thing. We're sick and tired. We want the world to know. It's taken me this long to be ready to stand up and protest and activate and activism. Call it anything you want. I'm now going to speak. I found my voice. So there's plenty of ways we can do that.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. Okay.
I want, if anything I say helps someone else, good. But so 4:30, huh?
4:30 on Saturday. And I'm going to try my best to make this a regular thing. Rick told me that a few years back they tried to do for women's only group, and it worked. It worked for quite a while. And what it will do is give us a safe place where we can talk as women. And I keep hearing this, and it makes sense that women are affected in different ways than men when they're confronted with this kind of thing. So we get a chance to talk about it. They can come in and listen, and they can offer a comment here or two. But this is just for us, and how we can. We're not going to get in each other's business, but it's just a way of sitting down and talk as we women talk. Sometimes we speak a language that men are clueless. What did they just say?
Yeah.
And so that's our way of venting, and then maybe coming up with suggestions on how we can finally start speaking out to Brooklyn itself. You know, I'm done being quiet and sitting back and saying, well, how do I not know somebody's going to see me on Facebook and say, she used to be one of us, and look how she's talking. You know, I'm not coming back to you so you can think what you want to. I'm not coming back, okay? So what can they do, just fellowship us again? No.
Well, I'm not even disfellowshipped. They're scared of me.
Oh, you're not disfellowshipped.
I am not. I don't think I am. But they treat me that way anyway.
Well, let me tell you, I've had several former witnesses tell me that they didn't even know they were disfellowshipped. All it takes for you... Yeah, let me tell you, this gentleman that I'm Facebook friends with, and we've had the opportunity to talk on the phone, guess why he got disfellowship?
I don't know.
A woman friend of his whose car broke down was parked in front of his house, her car. So they said it looked like loose conduct, like you got a woman living with you. I said, and he said, yeah, she would stay over a few days, but she didn't live with me, and she didn't share my bedroom. And I said, well, I guess if it looks like a skunk to them, it stinks like one. So they just fellowshipped him, just on appearance's sake.
Yeah.
Yes, and guess how he found out he was disfellowshipped? His kids had to tell him. He didn't even know. They had to say, Dad, we can't talk to you anymore. You're disfellowshipped. He's like, what? Yeah, when you didn't go to that meeting you were supposed to go to. What meeting? They sent you a certified letter. You didn't answer back, but that to them was their answer that you weren't interested in coming to the meeting, and they read your name off. Yes.
Well,
I've heard all the stories.
When I quit going, they parked outside of my house, and they were in their car for like 4 hours. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing? They're in my yard. So
they were in your yard?
Yeah. I called the police. And I said, there's been someone parked in my yard for 4 hours. And I'm scared. So they came down the road, and those people, I think it was two elders, and they were sitting there to catch me in whatever the hell they were going to try to catch me in. What am I doing?
Oh, my. Oh, my.
So I called the police, and they diddly bopped and got out of there. So I don't think they want anything to do with me.
I hear somebody in the back saying, those people.
Then I taped those letters to the Kingdom Hall door and said, please help on it. And then it named all my brothers that molested me. And then one of them's dead, so nothing really can be done about that one. But the other one was an elder and a pioneer.
Oh my!
And I was like, your own literature says that pedophiles don't change their stripes. You know?
No, they don't.
And I said, whether it was this long ago or not, his son became a pedophile. Okay.
There's no statute of limitations on pedophile. There's no statute of limitations on that.
There is in Pennsylvania.
Oh my goodness.
It's 40 years. So guess what?
Oh my.
Mine's out the window, but my girl's father was also a witness, but he died. But it still happened. And they're still affected. And they're but they're real strong women, both of my girls. And they're they're like Einstein kind of minds. My thing is the Watchtower has tried to squash us, but they have not defeated us. And that's just the way it is. You know, we have risen above their damage. That's right. We have risen above. Yes. So I'm going to. Rick, are you still here?
I'm right here. In fact, we're getting ready now. We're getting ready to get into JW World News. But
okay.
We really want to thank Jane for coming on and being with us tonight. My goodness, it's really a really powerful program here with her coming on. We really appreciate it. Just hang on for 1 second with us, Deborah. Tell people about your program coming up next week and how Jane's going to be on it. I'm just trying to get a couple of technical things here straightened out.
Okay, sounds good. Jane, we'll see you anytime between, I'll say 4 4:45 or 5 o'clock. We're going to touch on the damage that religion has done in causing mental health problems. You already mentioned suicide. One of the ladies that wrote the article and interviewed a doctor, a psychologist, and she talked about what religion has done in affecting children, in affecting.
And it was unbelievable. Last week we were doing our weekly marketing meetings, and we logged in to see the results we got back up.
Are you there with us, Jane?
Are we on two shows?
Is anybody?
What we could do if someone could just, you guys should, Deborah, just keep the program going for a second. We've got just a couple of things I'm trying to get off here technically, okay?
Okay, Jane.
So you want me to 4:45?
One or two will be left after the year.
You can call anytime you feel comfortable, feel like it. Anytime between 4:30 and 5:30.
Amazing automated tool.
You can call in anytime you feel comfortable.
Set it up just once.
You said something about 4:45 or.
Unlimited space.
I might.
Yeah.
Listen to the whole thing, and when you call me in.
Yes. If you could listen to the whole thing, that would be even better. I'm hoping that between now and this Saturday, people have left me inbox messages that they had to work unexpectedly. A couple of them forgot about the show, so I'm going to send another link on my page reminding them that it starts at 4:30, and that we'll have someone coming in to share their personal experience with the Watchtower. So, but I do a little introduction, and then ultimately we're going to try to discuss different subjects. If it lasts for a week or two, that's fine, but start addressing those issues. One Facebook friend, she just separated from her husband. She did her time, did the year separation, and now she's able to file her papers, and she's excited about it and excited about her new life. So those are the things that we're going to want to talk about for our show, is what are we doing beyond the Watchtower. Not talking about necessarily personal things as much as it is, this was our experience in the hall, and touching on this is what we're doing now, so that people can see you can live without the Watchtower. You know the scripture that they used about you have sayings of everlasting life. Where are we going to go? And they're like, well, if you leave the Watchtower, where are you going to go? There's nowhere else to go. And yet we're proving to them, person by person, we do have somewhere else to go. You guys are not the end all. And so that's the trick. They want us to believe that we can't live without them. And you went through that, Jane, with your abusive husband. He made you feel like you died without him. And it's not true. You're alive and standing, and didn't you say he's passed away?
Yeah, he
is. Yeah, so people try to make us feel that we can't live and breathe without them, and the Watchtower is guilty of that, but it's not true. And so for a long time, that kept me in was guilt, fear of Armageddon, fear that it's true that I won't be able to live without them. But as time has gone by, I have really been convinced this time. I'm done.
Me too.
Well, Deborah,
I came up with that statement: fear, guilt, and shame.
Yes.
That's all I was there for.
Yes. Guilt, fear, and shame.
I want to thank you, Deborah. I want to thank Jane. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Well, Deborah, Jane, we want to thank you very much. Thank you we had a little technical issue, but we're back on track here. But thank you guys for staying on with us. Jane, we're going to hear from you more next week. You're a lady of courageous ability. Thank you for coming on and being with us on the 6 screens. Thank you, Deborah, for filling in. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'll see you back at 8:30, Rick. Good night, Jane. I'll see you. I'll hear you next Saturday.
Yeah.
and thanks for sharing. Your story is. You need to write a book. All right. Good night, Rick.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Jane. Well,
Yes,
stay with us, people on the video suite. You're looking at a picture that's Deborah Lynch. See, she's the one that was just interviewing. Josh left. Deborah was on earlier. She has a program at 4:30 every Saturday now here on the 6 screen. So by all means, check her program out. Deborah will be with us next Saturday, 4:30. So we're thankful that we have a brand new program here on the 6 screens. Friends, we got a big night coming up. Don't leave us now. We're going to JW World News. Joe Mason out of Overland Park, Kansas. Him and I will give you some of the latest happenings in the Watchtower. The news the Watchtower doesn't want you to talk about. That's coming up next on JW World News. And then at 8:30, if you got to leave now, that's fine. Go ahead, but come back at 8:30. You don't want to miss this. We have 4 recently out Jehovah's Witnesses, 4 men, 4 different states. They're coming in tonight. They contacted me this week. They're all friends. They know each other. They want to come on as a group. They want to come on the 6 screens of the Watchtower conference call at 8:30 tonight. Wait till you hear what's getting people thinking about what's going on in the organization. Don't miss it. 8:30, 6 screens of the Watchtower conference call. We are now going to be going to JW World News. We got a lot going on tonight with other programs as well. Somewhere around 10:30, we're going to have a special Jehovah's Underground program with Johnny the Bethelite. Hopefully we'll get Johnny in. If not, I have a recorded tape just from 2 days ago. You've got to hear what Johnny said. We will at least be playing that. And if the spies are not watching him and the coast is clear, Johnny will be on with us as well. So big night coming up. Then we have late night with the Duke. Boy, if you have never listened to Larry John Wayne, he burns the midnight oil here on the 6 screens. By all means, check Larry out later on tonight at midnight. Friends, we have got a big program. I mean, every week we're doing this, so we're so glad, too. We have so many new people coming in. Lots of people right now are leaving the Watchtower. I'm going to disconnect this program. In the meantime, there'll be a little interlude, a little music playing here, and then we'll get caught up. What this does, it gives me just about a minute or two to get all the technical stuff worked out. Because once when people write me here on the screen, and Rick, do you see me? I want people all to know I'm not in any way being rude to anybody, but there's only so much I can do. I'm trying to watch all of the, we broadcast 3 different ways here. Someone's got to watch this. Someone's got to keep all the background noise down, which I do. I'm watching the video suite. I'm looking for intruders. I'm looking for spammers. I mean, all of this is going on. So if I don't write to you guys on the video suite, I wish I could spend more time in there with you, but just bear with me. When I can get a chance, I get in there and kind of catch up on things. But I just got to keep this program going in a smooth way. We got to keep all of the background noise down. If you're calling in, if you want to talk, you hit *1. But when you're done talking, hit *1 again, and that will mute you. And that way there we won't get all that background noise. But thank you for coming in. Let's a little background. I'm going to play a little music, a little sound clip. And then we're going to be going into our next program. Stay with us. I'm just going to adjust a few things here. And JW World News coming up next on the 6 screens.
Busy private day, the circus came to town.